Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle jingle bell. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle jingle bell. Top to Santa stocks are rich, relative. Hey folks, CA Rachna Ranade here and I welcome you all to another interesting video which is about top 2 Santa stocks. Yes, I know, I can't be more efficient than this, right? I've told the names of the top 2 stocks in the pre-bumper itself. So hashtag thank me later. So isi note par, if you want, you can also hit the like button, right? Well, this time Santa is focusing on all the government stocks. That is the reason why the theme of this video is only about PSUs. Let me remind you all one more time that all these creative people are spammers. That's how my account looks like. Also remember, I never give my mobile number in any chat. I neither have an advisory nor do I give any stock tips. Now, as usual, let's try and understand what does the company do, right? So the company is mainly into the manufacture and repairs and maintenance of what? Helicopters and aircrafts. Okay, so such a proud moment, right? And we are talking about an Indian company which is manufacturing aircrafts as well as helicopters, right? So the company has showcased its research, design and development capabilities with the successful development of military aircrafts and helicopters such as what? Ajit, Marut, HPT-32, Kiran and advanced light helicopters as well. Well, it is the name behind manufacturing aircrafts under the licenses such as the MiG-21, MiG-27, Avro, Jaguar, Dornier 228, Su-30, MKI and Hawk Mk-132 and helicopters such as Cheetah and Chetak. Animation team, control the smoke and emotions. All right, much better. Okay, so HAL is a defense public sector undertaking, right? See, the moment I'm saying it's a public sector undertaking, obviously Government of India is going to have a major chunk in the entire shareholding pattern, okay? Currently, Government of India holds 75.15% out of the total shareholding, right? In fact, this company was conferred with the Navratna PSU status in 2007 June, right? It was established on 1st of October 1964 when two entities, these are Hindustan Aircrafts Limited and Aeronautics India Limited, when these two entities were amalgamated. So with this basic information about HL, let us also try and understand whether they work with any organization or not, who are their customers and some additional basic information, right? So HL works with ISRO to contribute to various space programs of the country and their major customer includes whom? They are the Indian Defence Forces comprising the Indian Air Force, Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Coast Guard, right? And currently the company has 4 production complexes in India. Let me give you an interesting background about the company. You know, it was in 1983 that government cleared a project to make a new light combat aircraft as a replacement for MiG-21, which was made in Russia. That was becoming obsolete, right? So that was the time when government decided that in 1994, the first aircraft should be released. But you know, when did the first aircraft actually fly? It was in 2001 and it was named as Tejas by our Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. Now you might be wondering, why was there such a huge delay, right? There were 2 reasons behind it. The very first reason was that the government said that we want that the entire aircraft should be made in India. So we don't want a situation where, let's say, the engine is imported and we just build the other parts of the aircraft and assemble it and make it ready and say it is made in India. The government said it has to be completely made in India, right? Second one is that in 1974, we had done a nuclear testing in Pokhran, which was the very first nuclear testing by us. And that was not liked by many Western countries, because of which Western countries said, we will not give you the technology that you require. Today you are doing certain nuclear tests. We don't know what you have plans ahead, right? So that was the reason why we were in a technical vanvas for a lot of years. But as years passed, this technological vanvas ended. Even we as a country developed quite a bit, right? So finally in 2013 Tejas got the initial operational clearance, and in 2019 Tejas got the final operational clearance, right? Tejas, which was developed indigenously and manufactured by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, was designed by Aeronautical Development Agency ADA for the Indian Air Force and for the Indian Navy. The latest development is that in Jan 2021, the company has secured the largest ever contract of 83 LCA Tejas Mk1A aircraft for 36,486 crore rupees. All right, so let's start with the financials. The very first one is P&L. If you see that all in all, the trend in which sale is increasing, that is very much constant. But the highlight point here is that TTM sale is at the highest number, that's 23,331 crores. Even if you check out the operating profit, that is at all-time high at 5,415 crore, and even PBT and PAT are at all-time highs. Now, if you see that the compounded sale growth for 5 years and 3 years is not that mind-blowing, TTM growth is also only 10%, but if you check out the compounded profit growth, 5 year, 3 years se bhi zyada, TTM profit growth is 43%. And if you see stock price CAGR is also for the last 1 year at 48%. Now let's move on with the quarterly results. Again, here you will see that sales are increasing, but wait, if I talk about YOY comparison, that is September 2020 versus September 2021, sales have gone up from 4,854 to 5,551 crores, of course, which is almost a 14.4% growth. Okay, I had calculated this before, my maths is not that strong, right? Now if you see the quarterly data, there is one pattern that you can see very clearly. And what is that? Have a look at this. From 4,425 crores in December 2018, the sales has jumped directly to 10,000 plus. Okay. Then again, June, September, December, again at 4,000 crores. Again, March 2020, it has shot up beyond 10,000 crores. Again, see the trend, and followed by 10,739 in March 2021. In short, what has happened? Barring the month of March, all are in four-digit crores. Okay. But March, every single time it's above 10,000. So I tried to find out the reason why this is happening. For that, let me take you to the note which I found in the notes to accounts. Okay, so in that, the note to account mentions that it's a seasonality of business. The company mentions that company experiences cyclicality in respect of recognition of revenue from operations, which is attributable to the delivery of majority of their products happening in the second half of the year. So in simple words, they are saying that we recognize revenue from operations based on delivery of the project, and these deliveries generally happen in the second half of the year. That is the reason why you can see a sharp jump in the months of March every year, right? Now going ahead with the next point, which you can see interest. One more point, if you see carefully, the interest cost, which was somewhere around 70, 100, 105, whatever, it started to drop for the first time in September 2020. From 71, it has gone down to 53, 30, 15, and now latest data, it's shown only 1 crore. How come interest cost has gone down drastically? We are going to check out the reason in maximum 2 more minutes. So just wait for that. Now, if you check out the revenue numbers, the PAT numbers, PAT is also growing at a nice pace. But if I were to specifically compare September 2020 to September 2021, that is a YOY growth, it has gone up from 615 crores to 847 crores with a growth of 37.7%, right? EPS also growing nicely. So let's move on to the next point, wherein I was saying that why has interest cost gone down? So for that, have a look at the balance sheet. And in the balance sheet, you'll see that borrowings have gone down from 5,927 crore rupees to just 51 crore rupees. Okay. But then you'll also see something very interesting, that in March 2016, borrowings was just 80 crores. From that, it shot up to 1,000 crores, then 900 crores, 4,000 crores, 5,000 crores, and then again going down to 51 crores and 6 crores. So, question is, why does the company require such a heavy borrowing, right? So, for that, we'll again check out the reasons in another 2 to 3 minutes. Let's first go to the cash flow statement. Okay, in cash flow statement, you will see the repayment of borrowings tab in cash flow from financing activity. Same point that we talked about, repayment of borrowings, you can see in March 2021. What is one more highlight point in March 2021 is the cash flow from operating activity, which is the highest at 15,263. Now, question is, why was this highest? One of the important points is that there was a nice recovery in the receivables, because of which operating cash flow has shot up very nicely. Now, how can we see this? Is there any other graph which quantifies whatever I'm saying? So for that, have a look at this chart. You can very clearly see that the trade receivables have gone down drastically in the recent few years. But wait, just have a look at the cash and bank balance chart also. You can see that the cash and bank balance chart had gone in negative in 1819 and 1920. Means what? There was a dearth in cash and bank balance. Company was struggling with it, because of which maybe company was required to borrow money, right? Because company was required to borrow money, the interest cost had shot up. But then slowly and steadily, what could you see? You could see that the receivables, the trade receivables, started slowly going down, because of which what happened? Cash and bank balance improved, because of which what happened? The operating cash flow also started improving. So all in all, I hope you are now able to connect the dots. And with this, let us move on with the last part of financial analysis, which is the key ratios. If you check out ROCE, fantastic, 26.2%, ROE 22.6%, stock PE versus industry PE. If you check, stock PE is just 12.2 versus industry PE of 22.8. Dividend yield is also good at 2.33%. Debt to equity almost zero. It's a net debt-free company, and company has paid out a dividend of 32.66%. All in all, if you ask me, the financials of the company are surely good. Now let's try and understand what are the key risks with the company. The very first one is high dependence on the Ministry of Defense, because whatever revenues the company earns, more than 90% is contributed by Ministry of Defense. Of course, one more point is that if you remember, I talked about the delay in receiving money from these departments, right? So if they don't have timely realization of payments, again their cash and bank balances might go for a toss, right? The third point of risk is that if there is a change in prioritization of the defense budget, in simple words, a lower budget is allocated for the defense sector, then again the orders that this company receives might be impacted. One more point is that the company is very much dependent on vendors, on OEMs and technology licensors for timely execution of the supply orders. And finally, the company's operations and profitability also remains exposed to time and cost overruns. Well, in September 2020, the government of India said that FDI is allowed in the defense sector through the automatic route if the FDI is up to 74%. In simple words, if the FDI is up to 74%, government approval is not required. Additionally, the Defense Ministry also plans to put 101 defense items under the import embargo. In simple words, it's like a ban. Okay, so automatically will it boost the Make in India for defense sector? Answer is obviously yes, right? In February 2021, the Defense Ministry also allocated 70,000 crore rupees, that's US $9.5 billion, for domestic procurement. In fact, in August 2021, our Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, approved the launch of Defense Testing Infrastructure Scheme with an outlay of 400 crore rupees, that's 54 million US dollars. And latest October 2021, India signed contracts and cleared projects worth 54,000 crore rupees approximately in less than a month to enhance the military capabilities with locally produced weapons and systems. Currently, HAL has entered into contracts with so many other entities like Rolls-Royce. They have also entered into a contract with Midhani, that is Mishra Dhatu Nigam Limited. Also entered into a contract with DRDO for transfer of technology and production, and with ADA, that is Aeronautical Development Agency. Agreed, all these contracts they have entered into. But if you remember, what was their major pain point? Pain point is that they are receiving so many contracts, agreed. They are doing the production. In fact, in their management commentary, they have also told that how fast they are going ahead with manufacturing of all these items and delivering in time. But the problem is that if they don't receive the payment for all this, then again, you remember the pressure on cash and bank balance and all that. So what they have done, they have now added a clause in their contract which mentions that if you delay the payment beyond a certain point in time, then whatever interest cost the company has to bear, that will be recovered from the consumers. So all in all, whatever I researched about the company, I felt that overall outlook looks positive. Alright, so let's get started with the second company, which is RailTel. When was it incorporated? It was incorporated in 2000 under the supervision of Ministry of Railways. Wait, before I proceed, you must understand one thing. The moment I use the word RailTel, people feel that it has got anything and everything to do with Indian Railways. It's not true, okay? Because if I'm talking about RailTel, TEL is about telecommunication. And if I'm talking about telecommunication, we need to understand what was the main purpose of forming this company. Purpose was modernizing the existing telecom systems for train control, operations and safety to generate additional revenues. Now, because it's a telecommunication company, you need to understand one more point. What comes to your mind first when I talk about modern telecom companies? Optic fiber cables, OFCs, right? So currently the company has the largest neutral telecom infrastructure, which owns a pan-India optic fiber cable network of 60,000 plus route kilometers. Huge optic fiber cable network it has, right? One of the biggest USPs of RailTel is that this OFC network, optic fiber cable network, covers 70% almost of the Indian population, which resides in various cities, rural areas, towns, all put together. Okay, and RailTel has exclusive seamless right of way. Right of way, in simple words, I'll tell you. We have rail tracks, we have rail routes. Just besides those tracks or routes, the company has sole rights to lay down fiber optic cables. No other telecom company is allowed to do this, laying down optic fiber cables right besides the rail routes. And alongside how many kilometers? 67,415 kilometers of railway track, which passes through 7,321 stations across the country. So as of now, I hope you have understood the meaning of RailTel. It's a telecommunication company, but it has got a lot of connection with railways. Okay, tell you. It's a mini Ratna company, category 1 PSU, and it is steaming ahead in the enterprise segment as well. This point, it's steaming ahead in enterprise segment means what? In simple words, this company is now saying, yes, we are one of the largest neutral telecom companies, so we are not going to serve only Indian Railways. Why not serve hospitals also? Why not serve education sector also? Okay, we are going to talk about all these points in the upcoming parts of the video. Does it mean that currently 100% of the revenue is earned only from railways? Answer is no. Now, currently also it contributes barely, roughly approximately 11%. The railways contribute 11% of the total revenue. Have a look at this chart. If you see, railway project works 17,814 out of total revenue of how much? 1,37,782, all rupees in lakhs, right? Currently, the company has provided Wi-Fi at 6,050 plus stations, and it is arguably one of the largest integrated Wi-Fi networks, not in India, in the world. Okay, it has created 1.3 lakh e-offices. So I think this was surely a savior during the lockdown, right? It also has a number of data centers and cloud services. So you can imagine, like we have a Google Cloud, we have an Apple Cloud. RailTel has their own cloud service as well. Okay, and company has also ventured into RailTel HD video conferencing service, which is known as TPAS. Now, not TPAS is not Tempass. It is something like we have Zoom for a video conferencing. They have TPAS for video conferencing. So last point, what RailTel is providing, they are also providing a video surveillance system at Indian railway stations. Means what? If you ever go to a police station, you can see that there are a lot of monitors which are placed in a station, wherein you can see the footage of the entire city, what is happening in which nook and corner of the city. Similarly, what is happening at the railway stations, that surveillance system monitors you can see at the station, right? This system is being provided by whom? Again, RailTel. So all in all, just to wrap this up, is it a telecom company primarily? Yes. We talked about fiber optic fiber optic cables being laid down through and through the country. We talked about Wi-Fi's being put up at the railway stations. We talked about e-cloud. We talked about also video conferencing and all that. So majorly a telecom company, but also started with a motive of what? Modernizing the railways. So rail, tail. All right, let's move ahead with the financials. Now, if you see the sales, or if you see operating profit, or if you see PBT or net profit, all are in a growing trend. Agreed. But is it an amazing growth? Not really. Okay-ish growth hai, right? But then what is the positive point? At least the TTM sales number, which is 1,506 crores, and the net profit number, which is 186 crores, that is at the all-time high right now. Okay, so that is surely a plus point for the company. Now, if I try to check out as a breakup, okay, so the sales breakup is into two major segments. One is telecom services, one is project work services. I've told this in the video at least 5-6 times right now. Rail, tail, so mainly into telecom. Okay, so if you see the breakup, 885 crores versus 493 crores. So telecom revenue is almost double as compared to project work revenue, right? Now, if you check out PBIT, profit before interest and tax, the margin percentage is also higher in telecom as compared to project. It's 23% versus 16%. And if I'm talking about again ROCE for telecom services, that is at 36% versus project work is at 29%. Now, if you see the Q2 update, I'm talking about QOQ numbers, okay? Revenue has gone up by almost 20.88%. If I'm talking about the jump from 307 crores to 358 crores. PAT has also jumped up huge from 21 crores to 68 crores. That's almost a 219.45% jump. Oh my god, that's amazing. No, don't be so happy. Q1 was bhangar, was bad because of corona. So don't be so happy with the QOQ jump, okay? What was the positive point? Chalo, I can say that at least the PAT is coming at almost an all-time high. All-time high quarterly PAT was 70 crores and right now it is 68 crores. All in all, if you go ahead with the financial analysis now into the cash flow statement, you can see that revenue from operating activities has gone up significantly from 173 crores to 349 crores. Even if investing activity and financing activity are in negative, doesn't make a lot of difference. If you are not sure about what all these terms are, you should surely check out my course on fundamental analysis on my website rachnaranade.com, right? If I'm talking about the PE ratios now, the stock PE is at 21 versus the industry average of 55.2. Dividend yield is 1.81% and company is maintaining a healthy dividend payout ratio of 48.41%. Now let us do a technical analysis and try and understand what could be the resistance levels for this stock, what could be the support levels for this stock, what is a risk reward ratio as far as this stock is concerned, if we are talking about current point as an entry point, okay? As I shoot the video, आज काय तारीख है? 17th ना? 16th, okay. Today is 16th, by the way. Video releases on 25th December. It's a Santa stock, na? Okay. Chalo, so I'm going to release the video on 25th December, but this stock was released on 26th February on the stock exchange. So the IPO listing date was 26th February. So if you have a look at this, it opened somewhere around 108 levels, closed on day 1 of listing at 121 ka level, okay? Now since that day, day 1, day 2, day 3, zap, it went up. Again, saw a big fall, went up again, saw a fall. So it has been seeing a topsy-turvy journey, but since 25th of August, I can say, it has been range bound. In which range? From the level of roughly 121 on the lower side till the upper side of 141, okay? So it's going up and down in the same band, okay? Now, if you see where has the stock closed as I shoot the video, the stock has closed around 118 rupees. And if you see this support of 121 seems to be broken. What is the immediate next support? Immediate next support is at 108. Now, when was this level tested? See, this is the opening level on day 1 of listing, and this was again tested around 22nd of April and 23rd of April. So that's a crucial second support. So, acha, even if a person, this is not a recommendation, but if someone were to enter at this level, okay, so just have a look at this. If someone were to enter at this level, then the risk reward ratio comes up to 2.29. So basically, a downward risk is at 108 rupees, which is the 2:1 ka 1, but the target as per technical analysis could be 140 rupees. So I hope you have understood that as of now, it gives a favorable risk to reward ratio. Before moving on to the risks, well, I'll be honest, I missed out on a very important point. The debt to equity ratio of the company, it's just 0.02. Okay, so debt levels are very low. Positive point. Chalo, moving ahead with the risks now. The debtor days, if you see as of 31st March 2021, it's 205 days. So it's like almost at an all-time high. If debtor days are very high, it's not a good sign. It means that the customer is not paying you in time. Customer is paying you almost after 205 days from the date of sale. It's a rough interpretation of debtor days, right? Trade receivables currently are at 56.04% of the revenue from operations as at March 21, right? In simple words, out of 100 rupees sale, as on date, debtors are 56.04. That's a huge number, right? Who are these customers who are not paying the company? State government and other government companies. Okay, so anyways, I can't talk much, right? Revenue generated from top 3 customers, of course, all government companies account for almost 25% of the revenue as at 2020. So again, top 3 customers contributing to a big chunk, always considered as a risk. Okay, and currently also one more risk is that it's in a highly regulated industry. Which industry? Telecom. Now don't ask me what is the connection of telecom. Okay, I've told this 1,000 times now. Rail, telecom industry. So that's one of the risks involved. Moving ahead with the government initiatives, under the Union Budget 2021-22, the government allocated 14,200 crore rupees for telecom infrastructure. Again, simple logic, more and more spending, more and more budget allocation for telecom infra. Is it going to be good for the company? Answer is yes. The FDI cap has been increased from 74% to 100%, and out of this, 49% will be done through the automatic route. So up to 49%, no government approval is also required. And one more amazing point is that on September 21st in 2020, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji launched a project to connect all 45,945 villages in Bihar with optic fiber internet service. I've already told you how this company has an upper hand in the OFC space. Going ahead with the key points from management commentary, the current order book stands at 5,000 crores. Okay, so this is something interesting which you can understand how order book is important for any company. Okay, so let's try to visualize this. So that's like the order book, which is 5,000 crores. These are like orders in hand which are yet to be executed. Now, if an order gets executed, where can I find it in the annual report? Arey, that is nothing but turnover. Na? Order getting executed is like turnover for the company, revenue for the company. How much is the current revenue? 2021, almost 1400 crores. Okay, now assuming that company doesn't receive any order for the next 3 years, still will the company be able to sustain? For that, let's try to check this out. 1400 crores approximately is 2021 revenue. Now from that order book, assume in the next year, orders worth 1500 are completed. In the next year, orders worth 1600 are completed. In the next year, orders worth 1700 are completed. So 1500, 1600, 1700 roughly comes to 4800 crores. Still something is left in that jar of order book, right? So that is the relevance of order book. Higher it is, better it is for the company. Okay, so I hope you have understood the connection between what and what? Order book and revenues of the company. Right. Moving ahead, one more important point from the management commentary is that currently companies exploring a lot of new work avenues like tunnel radio communication, and in fact they have bagged a project worth they've bagged projects worth 138 crores, and in fact the technology that they are going to use is going to be the first to be used in the Indian Railways. They're also planning to set up 100 edge data centers in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and they've already spent 60 crores in the first half of the year, and in the full year they are planning to have 125 crores of capex for all the modernization and expansion of these services. Let's talk about few interesting future plans of the company. The company is entering into hospital management information system. They're also entering into AI and IoT based applications wherein they are trying to measure the water level of rivers so that they try and ensure the safety of bridges. They're also venturing into videos and music content on demand. And finally, they are also venturing into cloud analytics. They will say that, oh, now I understood the point that you were talking at the beginning of the video, that they are also venturing into stuff which is not at all related to railways. Wait. Hospital management information system for which hospitals? They are working on hospital management information system of over 125 railway hospitals and 650 plus health units of, again, Indian Railways. Okay, so the first one was regarding finally Indian Railways. Second one, AI IoT based applications of any bridge. No, especially those bridges over which the Indian Railway is going to run, right? If I'm talking about the content on demand on my mobile, on your mobile, no, on those devices, on those TV screens which are installed inside the Indian Railway. And if I'm talking about the cloud analytics, again related to what? The railways, wherein they'll talk about the accurate information of the railway users. So all in all, you have understood that they had something or some or the other connection with Indian Railways. But does it mean that they are not venturing into anything which is regarding railways? Answer is no. In fact, they have gone into AI and IoT based applications wherein they have installed an AI based attendance system in 48,000 plus schools in Assam, and I think that covers lakhs of users, and surely that's a great achievement, venturing into areas other than Indian Railways. I hope you have enjoyed the top 2 Santa stocks video, and if you want to know more about top 2 stocks under 500, click here. If you want to know more about top 2 stocks under 1000, you can click here. Till then, take care, Jai Hind and bye bye.